Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my AFC and NFC Championship picks. Before we talk about the conference championship games, don't want to get into too much what happened last week in the divisional games, but obviously the divisional round was quite unusual. And what I mean by unusual is the fact that, the top seed Baltimore Ravens losing to the Tennessee Titans last week. It's really tough to see what happened, but I look back at the previous two seasons with Lamar Jackson at the helm for the Ravens. I mean, I kind of expected him to lose his first playoff game 2 years ago against the Chargers, but the game against the Titans last week did surprise me quite a bit. The fact that Lamar Jackson had, you could say pretty much he's a lock for the MVP, but really the Titans they were ready to play. They came out and just really gave the Ravens quite a beatdown last week. Now, going into the AFC Championship game now, for the Titans against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, a lot of it is dealing with the fact that Henry was part of the key last week. The running game really just took off again, and it really gave the Ravens a ton of problems, and it really put the Titans now in a position that the Titans haven't been in probably quite some time. Remember, keep in mind, a lot of people forget that the Titans were in the AFC Championship during the 2002 season, right after Tom Brady and the Patriots started their run. So the question is remaining for the Titans now is that, can they pull one more rabbit out of the hat and beat the Chiefs to create one of the biggest upsets in NFL history? We won't know until Sunday. And now, speaking of the Chiefs, after trailing 24 to nothing, having to really put up points in the first half. I mean, it was a game that really nobody expected the Chiefs to really, after trailing so big in the first half of that game against the Texans and then coming back in the second half to really lay a beatdown on them. It's really tough to say going forward now into the AFC Championship, really, because, well, look, I mean, a lot of people, you could say right now that the Chiefs should be heavy favorites and there should be no excuse for them to lose the AFC Championship here. We won't know until we find out on Sunday. But I think, my honest opinion, I think the Chiefs will be much more prepared for this game than they were against the Texans, because they looked like they were rusty. A lot of it had to do with rust, but they can't be rusting now. They can't be really rusty now going into the conference championship. Now, on the NFC side, 49ers defense pretty much was dominant against the Vikings, which was expected. It took a while for the Niners to get going in the first half, but then afterwards and towards the second half, they controlled the game pretty much. Minnesota really didn't have much to do, but their toughest test now is going to be against the Green Bay Packers. Packers did it. Now, talking about the Packers here, the Packers a lot of you say pretty much were dominant against the Seahawks. Not necessarily. Their defense really struggled in the second half to stop Russell Wilson in their offense. So now that brings the question, does the Green Bay defense have a flaw here? That's what I wonder. Because now their biggest test for them is going against that 49er defense. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens now as I talk about the conference championship games right now. All right, here we go. Here are my picks for the AFC and NFC Championship. All right, let's start with the AFC Championship. Now, Tannehill for the Titans went 7 of 14, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Most of the key was really their running game. Now, Patrick Mahomes last week for the Chiefs, 23 of 35, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The key here for the Chiefs here is that their offense needs to click, and they need to click all game long. Defense-wise, the defense really struggled against the Texans, because their offense really had to pick up the pieces from it would look like it was a complete breakdown last week for them. I think the Chiefs will be much more prepared for this game. As much as you could say the Titans could probably pull another upset win here, I just think the Chiefs are going to be too much for the Titans. I really think that Chiefs offense will be really prepared for this game here. This is one of the reasons why. It's going to be kind of a quick pick here. But who's to say that this game will be a much closer game for the Kansas City Chiefs? And this is one of the reasons why I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the AFC Championship here. I think their offense will be much more prepared. Their defense, I think, will be much more better prepared this time. I think the Titans' run here, their spectacular run they've had against beating the Patriots and the top-seeded Ravens this year, I think it's going to come to a halt here. I think, to me, that look, the Titans really, really have to do what the Texans tried to do, and that's maintain the lead. They might be able to hold on and beat hold on to a lead, but I just think that the Kansas City offense will be much more ready this time. They're going to learn from what happened with the Texans and not fall further behind in a football game. I think, to me, the Chiefs and their running game and their passing game will be much more ready this time. I still think the Chiefs will beat the Titans here. I think the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. So my pick for the AFC Championship is the Kansas City Chiefs. Going over to the NFC Championship now. Packers versus the 49ers. Now Rodgers wins 16-27, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. For the 49ers, Garoppolo, he went 11 of 19, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. This is probably the toughest pick here because when it comes to defense-wise, both teams are evenly matched. Offense-wise, you could probably say the Packers have a slight advantage because Rodgers and Adams really has become quite a tandem here because really Garoppolo, his tandem is with Kettle. And I forgot to mention about the point spread here. The AFC Championship is 7.5 points, and currently right now the NFC Championship is also 7.5 points for the 49ers. I think for the NFC Championship here, the way it comes down to it here, turnovers and who controls the clock. That's going to be the key. That's really going to come down to those two things. It's going to be who does not turn the ball over, and it's going to deal with time of possession. I personally think this will be a low-scoring game, actually. Probably, you could say maybe like a 20-17 type of game. It boils down to those 2 points, as I said, as I have repeated twice already. But when it also boils down to experience here, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers. Now, I know in the season that the Packers got whooped badly in the first meeting up in Santa Clara. But this will be a much more different game. The Packers are going to be a much different team this time, and I think they'll be more ready this time. And I don't necessarily think that Garoppolo and that offense, I think, to me, their possible Super Bowl run, I think, is going to come to an end in this game. I think, to me, the Packers and with Aaron Rodgers and the experience that he has here, he's on a mission to get another Super Bowl ring. I think, to me, that when it comes down to it, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC Championship here. So, yeah, there you go. My Super Bowl 54 matchup prediction will be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Green Bay Packers. And that's it, everybody. That wraps up my picks for the Conference Championship. So I will be back in 2 weeks to make my pick for Super Bowl 54. So until then, everybody, I'll see you then. So take care, and let's enjoy Championship Sunday. Take care.